Hello, in this presentation we're going to take a look at a new feature within QuickBooks Pro 2018, that being the Search Chart of Accounts feature. We're going to look at the chart of accounts and see what this search feature can do, which is to search through the chart of accounts, and we'll take a look at where that could be applicable when we would want to use this feature in practice. First, let's look at the chart of accounts and see where this feature is at. We're going to go to the lists at the top and we're going to go to chart of accounts. Now, this is a fairly small QuickBooks file, so there's not a whole lot within the chart of accounts. But if we're working with a substantially large company, there could be a lot of accounts that we are dealing with within the chart of accounts. And even when we're dealing with this size of company, there is still a fair amount of accounts to go through, to look through. The search feature is going to be up top. So if we were going to go through here and look through the chart of accounts and we didn't know where something was at, we could basically use the search feature and search through, and it'll limit those types of accounts that are there. Now, the great thing about this is that it gives you a bigger window of the limitations on these chart of accounts. And that's the big benefit, because when we're looking at some other screens, the autofill population allows us to do a similar function, but there's limitations within the screen. So if we're kind of in the ballpark, if we have a lot of a certain type of expenses, but possibly they're broken out by region, then we could type in the type of word that we know. For example, if we know we have insurance, but we have a ton of different types of insurance based on location and based on different types, then we could type in insurance. We could see all the things that are going to be related within the same window. Now, when does this become necessary? When would this option be needed? Anytime we're putting into a new account, anytime we're looking for an account and we're having problems, when would that typically happen? When we're making an invoice, possibly. Most of the time, probably when we're writing a check or entering a bill. So let's take a look at that. If we were to go over to the Home tab and we were going to say write a bill or write a check, I'm going to just go write a check down here. And we were to think about who it's going to and say, I know it should be somewhere in the ballpark of an expense, but I don't know where that is at. When we select this drop down, we get a pretty decent list. We've got our full list here, but this window's a bit smaller. It's a bit less easy to search around. We could start typing things in here. If we started typing insurance, we do get a breakdown of the insurance, but it's a little bit less detailed when we see this window as it is when we go to the full list. So if we wanted to go to the full list, if that isn't enough, if we're not narrowing down what we would like to see, then we would then go to the lists up top and we can go to chart of accounts and use this search feature. And that would give us a bigger window, a bigger idea, and easier able to find these accounts. Again, it would be a lot more relevant if we were talking about a large chart of accounts that's going to have a lot of accounts with similar names and possibly very slight differences in terms of basically the numbering and or the wording of those accounts. So we wanted to make sure we're getting the right one. That's when this feature would be most effective. Note also that if you wanted to make this feature a little bit quicker to use, I'm going to close that out. If you're back at this check and you wanted to say, this screen is a little too small, I would like to see the full screen of my chart of accounts so that I can toggle through that and do that a bit quicker rather than going up here, you could use the keystroke of Control A, and that'll take you directly to the chart of accounts. If you have your open windows over here on the other side, you can toggle back and forth between these chart of accounts and the checks fairly easily and use that feature fairly well.